Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yeah, let's go. I know it's a Monday. I don't know why I'm in such a good mood, but maybe it's because I like my job. Listen, you're going to get caught up on all the moves Trump announced over the weekend. He does not take the weekends off for this guy. He did take a little time off to go to the UFC fight. I thought that was pretty cool. But I want to remind you before we just jump in both feet here with the headlines that the James Show is your home for Project 2025 implementation. I know. I've been here to help everyone with the new empire that's coming up. You know, the Christo-fascist empire that we've all been lying about not supporting the whole time. We can just cut the crap now. Get the FEMA camps ready. Get your Handmaid's Tale costume. Go to blessedbethefruit.org. Blessedbethefruit.org. And as I get more information for the single women of childbearing age, I'll let you know what camps you can report to just as soon as the inauguration happens. But for all your updates, you're home. WBAP is your home. We got traffic on the ones and blessedbethefruit.org. We're your Project 2025 headquarters. Don't forget us. Love horrifying people. If they want to invent this fantasy in their head to scare the crap out of themselves or maybe their viewers or something, let's just roll with it. All right. Now, this isn't necessarily important news, but this is a discussion you and your friends are having because some people in our orbit are acting weird because of Donald Trump. You know, some people, I think some people really do think he's Hitler or something close to it. But listen to this whopper that happened. This was Friday on The View. Whoopi Goldberg saying she was denied service based on her politics, just like Jim Crow, I guess, right?
The place that made these refused to make them for me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What? Oh,
no.
There's some pastry in front of them.
Let me explain. They said that their ovens had gone down, all kinds of stuff, but folks went and got them anyway, which is why I'm not telling you who made them. But can't be because I'm a woman, but perhaps they did not like my politics.
Yeah, that's right. The people don't want to make money. They would rather turn down money than serve Whoopi Goldberg. You know, I disagree with Whoopi Goldberg's politics pretty thoroughly. But if she came in my bakery, I'd be thrilled to sell her some cookies. I'd be telling everybody. I'd be Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, that one. She actually came in and bought cookies from me or cupcakes or whatever they were. I think they were cupcakes. I don't know. I don't care. Not really into pastries, but I'm also not really into lying about a small business there to make yourself what? A victim? Now, this is more than just Whoopi Goldberg pretending to be, insulted by this bakery based on her politics, or, turned down. Because remember, the bigotry is like the refusal to do business with someone based on their ethnicity or their belief system or whatever. But the response to this has been fantastic. Number one, she didn't say the name of the bakery, but that's like their little signature treat. And it's like such a big deal. They take it and sell it in other stores and whatnot. And the bakery is known for this. So when she talks about, a bakery on Staten Island, there's not a whole lot. And so people found out almost immediately, oh, that was the Holterman's bakery. So Jill Holterman, one of the family, because it's a family-owned company, had to come out, have a press conference on Saturday. And listen to how upbeat she was. This whole thing happened, Thursday, Friday? Then there was a backlash, and then there was a backlash to the backlash, which is sort of, I guess that would be a front lash by people supporting the baker. And so here's her response.
that I have to tell you, I'm so overwhelmed by the support between finding out yesterday this even happened, getting phone calls, and then people coming in, people from all over just supporting us in every way. We had phone calls yesterday from Alabama. Guy says, I'm going to give you $50, send it to a school, send them donuts, send them cupcakes. The support has been so overwhelming, and I know how hard my family has worked to keep this business alive.
You could just, like, her accent was so thick, you could smell New York from her. New York City! From her audio phone calls. But isn't that sweet? There was a backlash because people were like, how dare you discriminate against Whoopi or someone based on, I knew it. Those Trump-tards are so bigoted and they just operate based on hate. But what's really happening is you have a multi-millionaire, one of the most famous people on planet Earth, who lives one of the most privileged, pristine, luxurious lives, who has the massive platform of America's most watched daytime talk show. She's rich, she's famous, status, she's got everything. And she's slandering a small business owner for victim cred. Wow. That's a weird level of narcissism, isn't it? Now, you've seen this before. Oprah tried to pull that off. Remember her old story where she got discriminated against? Oh, don't worry. I have the receipts on that. But before we take a break here, I'm going to ask you your response to this, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Tomi Lahren, right before the James Show started today, was one of the guests on one of the Fox News shows, The Five or something like that. This was her response to the Whoopi Goldberg situation.
What I think the truth is that Whoopi Goldberg is an incredibly self-indulgent person who thinks everything is about her. So she thinks and takes it personally because that's how highly she thinks of herself, and she thinks everyone else regards her in that way, that they would care what her politics are, that they would go to such lengths that they wouldn't make her a cupcake. I'll tell you what this also is, in my opinion, is it's projection and it's deflection. This is what the left does. I've had numerous instances in California and in other liberal places where people didn't want to serve me, or where I got, bad looks, or I felt obviously uncomfortable being in a place because of who I am and what I believe in. I would never call these places out on air. I would never try to disparage them or hurt their business. But I think that she's used to that because she's on the left, and maybe she would do that to somebody. So she automatically assumes that was done to her, but it quite clearly wasn't.
Would you turn down business from someone even if you knew their politics? If Kamala Harris came into your bakery, wouldn't you sell her a cookie? Or, came into your gun store, wouldn't you sell her a gun? Or if you were a real estate agent, wouldn't you sell her a house? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. If you want to be a part of the conversation, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I guess this is sort of the cultural echo to what we were talking about last week. I was bringing you the audio of people saying, I'm not going to Thanksgiving with my family. I'm swearing off, all these people swearing off their family, people leaving their husbands, people not talking to their parents anymore, people not talking to their kids anymore based on how they voted over the election. And man, we were just marveling. And I think 90% of the people that called in agreed that, dude, no matter who my relatives vote for, they're still my family. Oh my God, get a hold of yourselves, people. And like I'm saying, this is sort of the cultural echo of that. You can't associate with people who supported Trump. You can't do business with people who don't agree with you politically. It's you're almost like you're humanizing them by doing business with them. And so this really feels like a projection. This really feels like, Whoopi thinks that whoever is on the other team is evil. They support either they're actively fascist or they're dupes that are tricked into supporting fascism. Either way, pretty contemptible people. But the view going the other way isn't so bad. We don't think you're fascist or just morally in the wrong as much as you need to stop listening to the people on TV. Yeah, most of your college professors were wrong. You're making a lot of the same mistakes every empire makes at its peak, where it turns to decadence and turns away from its traditions and ends up digging in its belly button and being weird about sex. I mean, that's what happens in so many of these life cycles of empires. Roman Empire, ancient Greeks, Persians, all that crap. So there's the divide there. Tomi Lahren's pointing out that if Whoopi interprets her rejection of business as being based on politics, that's probably a projection. I think she's right. 800-288-9227. Because the question is, does that really happen? If I know, Whoopi's lying in this situation, but is there someone somewhere that refuses to do business with Democrats, refuses to sell you a cupcake based on how you voted? Bob in Cleveland, you're on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think?
I don't think there's any Republican that would refuse a Democrat to sell them anything. Now, if I disagreed, let's say I was selling cakes, I would sell the Democrat a cake at a fair price. But if they wanted my artistic abilities, that might cost $100 million.
Explain.
I believe you. Well, if you wanted me to bake a cake that went against my religion, or a cookie or whatever, you wanted something on that cake or a cookie, I'd sell you that cookie or cake for the fair price like Jack did, or wanted to anyways. But my message I would charge, even though it was against my religion, an artistic fee to go against my religion.
I hear you. So do you think the bakery really discriminated against Whoopi based on her politics?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up before, the guy I talked to earlier, he said something about a gun, selling him a gun. Now, that might be a little different story because if I feel that individual has some mental disabilities, there's a legal ramification there.
Right, but that's not. Oh my goodness, they're a Kamala Harris voter. They must have mental disabilities. Therefore, I'm not selling them a gun. No, that's a reasonable exception there. We understand. I feel you, Bob. The problem is I think this. You say this. I bet Garrett across the glass says this. Probably most of the people listening to the show right now think this. But there's people on TV that are batting this around like it's a real thing. Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe a bakery would do that. And look, the other thing the view is on my. And thank you for your call, Bob. The other thing the views on the show for today is. Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, they do the morning show for MSNBC. That's that married couple. They cheated on their spouse and got together and got married. Not that that's important to the show, just it reminds people who they are. They said on their Thursday show, maybe it'd be nice if we got a chance to sit down and have a chat with Trump and have him explain himself. So Friday after the show, they got a call. They said, and it was Trump. It's like, hey, you want to meet up? So they did. They met up for like 90 minutes. And that was a firestorm because people found out, wait, what's Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough? What are they doing having a meeting with Trump? Now, you and me say, what's the problem with that? But remember, they're either thinking this guy is Hitler or pretending, kayfabing, that this guy is Hitler for the rest of the world. And you're going to humanize them. So they had to answer for it on their show this morning. This is Mika explaining herself for daring to talk.
Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues. And
all right, we'll just leave it right there. So that's the dastardly deed. Now, they had to put a whole bunch of caveats in there. They're like, we told him we strongly disagree with him about women's rights and abortion, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, this is their little conclusion here on their meeting with Trump. This is them explaining themselves this morning.
We know this will be a consequential presidency. The question is whether it will be constructive. It will take a new approach from all sides, from both parties, and a leader who can bring them together. And only time will tell if Donald Trump is that leader. As for us, we also let him know that we will continue to speak truth to power and push back hard when called for, as we have with all presidents.
Hey, no, we told him we're going to push back hard. We're not going to be nice to him. We told him we still hate him and he stinks and he's a horrible person. Don't worry. Listen to how much they had to cover for themselves. I know we talked to him, but trust me, we were really mean to him. We called him bad words. We told him he's wrong on everything. We didn't wipe our feet when we came in the front door. Sonny Hostin, after that little apology that Mika and Joe did, and I cut it down from 5 minutes to just those two little clips, that wasn't enough for Sonny Hostin on The View. They went and talked to him. They explained themselves. They apologized. They told him he was terrible, and they pushed back. Is that still a bad thing? Sonny Hostin says, yes, you can't even talk to the other side.
Look, the bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power.
Truth to power again. What is
right
that?
Now?
That didn't even mean anything.
More than ever.
Anybody says truth to power, they're saying something dumb right after it.
I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists. But we have to remember that Trump is the guy
who ushered in the era of fake news.
I know he's evil.
He is the guy who ushered in alternative facts.
So scared.
He is the guy who attacked 3 black female journalists. He's the guy that revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials for asking him a question.
None of these are scary.
And so I think that this president-elect, I hate to say it, would like nothing more than to have only Fox News cover him, would like nothing more than a state-sponsored media. And I don't think he can be trusted in the way that other presidents can be trusted. This is an aberration.
You can't even talk to him because you can't trust him. All right, who's in a cult and who's not? Coming up next, is Biden trying to start World War III on his way out? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. We'll ask my next guest from Rigaku about that. He's authorized some new strikes against Russia. What could possibly go wrong? I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Is Biden trying to start World War III on his way out? 800-288-9227. Let's ask my next guest on The James Show, Dr. Jeff Brodeur, Rigaku Analytic Devices. Back on The James Show. We've got some new movement here where he's authorized missile strikes in Russia. What's the new detail here?
So thanks for inviting me again. As I understand in the reports that I've read, the president has authorized the use of U.S.-provided long-range surface-to-surface missiles to strike inside of Russia. The purpose, unfortunately, is not to regain territory. The purpose for this is sort of a slap on the hand for North Korea providing troops into the area of operation. So, as I understand it, they are trying to dissuade them from bringing in any more augmented help from North Korea. I will tell you that I think we should have done this a couple of years ago, but there's the problem that I have with the action that was taken yesterday is that we told the whole world that we authorized it and we're supporting these strikes into Russia. That's the escalation point.
Has there actually been any strikes with our missiles in Russia?
Probably.
And so we're just admitting to something that was already happening, or did we announce it right as we were launching the missiles?
No, I think so. All of this military aid comes with constraints. If you follow our constraints, we'll continue to supply you with military. And as soon as you don't comply with those constraints, then we're going to cut off the hand that feeds you. I'm sure there have been a number of strikes, mostly drone strikes. I don't know that the surface-to-surface missile has ever been used to strike into Russia. But, the president said it about 24 hours ago, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the air as he described it.
Do we know if Trump would continue this policy?
That's a good question. Only Trump knows. I think President-elect Trump is going to put both Zelensky and Putin in a headlock until they cease the fighting. I think based on what I've read of his position on this, enough is enough. Too many people have died in this conflict that has absolutely gone nowhere. And I'll footnote all of this by saying that Ukraine is entering the last chapter of the war. What I mean by that is they've had over 2 years to mobilize for war. They've not stepped up their industrial complex to produce their own weapons or machinery. They can't even recruit their own citizens anymore to fight for their own freedom.
Do you foresee this coming to a quick end as soon as Trump gets inaugurated?
What I think is going to happen after yesterday, I think this is going to greatly increase on two fronts: the weapons that are used and the area of combat operations. Now that Russia can now defend their actions by saying that they're using all reasonable means to defend sovereign territory. And since a NATO member supplied and gave authorization for strikes inside of their territory, that everyone in NATO is now a target. And I think Finland and Sweden are not feeling very comfortable today. It also suggests that his weapons of mass destruction, this arsenal that is used only when faced an existential threat, is now not just a talking point, but it's a reasonable and feasible option to enter into the war.
Good Lord. All right. Well, I was asking you some pretty impossible questions there, so I appreciate your patience with me. Dr. Jeffrey Brodeur-Rigaku, appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's not a fun story. It just keeps getting worse over there. Hopefully they can get cleaned up in a couple months here. Lawrence in Grapevine, you're next up on WBAP. Your thoughts?
My brother, thank you for taking my call. I'm glad your guest you just had on stated for the record, because for the record, and I can speak, Whoopi Goldberg does not have no credibility in the black community. The Congressional Black Caucus doesn't have any credibility in the black community. Most of our preachers, I won't call them out by name, but we all know who they are, they don't have no credibility in the black community. And I'm not telling you guys nothing that I haven't said on Black Talk Radio. Black Talk Radio don't like to hear from black people like me, because I am truly an example of pulling yourself up from the bootstraps. I'm from Flint, Michigan, third-generation auto worker, 67 years old. My wife is third-generation auto worker. She's still in there, 40 years. She's the chair of the Veterans Committee. In other words, we actively involved in politics. We talk to people. We talk to politicians, and we blue collar. There's no daylight between a working person. I don't care what ethnicity, nationality. If you work for your living and work for your money and take care of your family, there's no daylight between you, me, and millions of others.
Sure, and me and you have more in common with each other than either one of us have with Whoopi Goldberg, regardless of our skin color. But I think I caution you against dismissing Whoopi Goldberg and The View. They do have tremendous influence. It's the most watched daytime afternoon talk show in America. Their average viewership is about that of a primetime Fox News show. They're just not counted in that same sentence because they're a network show. Also, the Democrat Party has huge influence on some portions of the black community. We got Hank Johnson, a guy who 15 years ago said that Guam could tip over. He's been reelected like 7 times since then. Why? Because whoever the Democrats put on that ballot, their voters are going to come just give them the okay. So yeah, the Democrat Party has a huge influence. The media has a huge influence. Whoopi Goldberg still has a huge influence. Is it smaller than it used to be? Yeah, I believe you're correct on that. But don't just dismiss it altogether. What these people say and do is important. It does influence millions, just not us.
Let me put it to you in closing.
Okay.
Let me say this. For the record, I'm a product of affirmative action. I hired in General Motors in 76 with the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. I am a gun collector. Let me say this for the record. Regardless of what the media say and statistics say, when you talk to people who work for a living, when they grocery shopping, when they out doing whatever, they will tell you the same thing I told you. We like to be entertained, but we don't take these idiots serious. We don't take them serious. They are entertainers, just like these black entertainers. All of them came out. I'm a Trump supporter. All of them came out because they thought they could persuade black people. What did black people do? Told them to go to hell. Well, that's what I want to say, brother.
Fantastic. About 20% of them, yeah, they did change over. Yeah, the wave is happening. The cultural sands are shifting. I can't wait till there's more and more Lawrences out there willing to say the same thing. 800-288-9227. Did you know they're still counting votes in Pennsylvania? Oh, no, that's not shady at all. Details coming up on The James Show. Is there any reason to still count votes other than you're stealing the election? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. There's no excuse, none whatsoever, for taking this long to count votes. There's no reasonable explanation other then somebody's up to something no good. 2 weeks? 2 weeks. You mean to tell me France, a nation of 60 million something people, and they're not even regular people, they're French, they can all have a vote on the same day. They can all count it on the same day, and they can tell you who the winner is by the time you wake up the next day, but we can. Sure. And what state's having trouble counting all the votes? Is it a solid blue state? Is it Vermont? Oh, no. Is it South Dakota? No. It's a swing state? No, I'm not falling for it. And if you fall for it, like, there's no such thing as coincidences this huge. If you're playing Yahtzee on family game night, you wouldn't see coincidences this huge. It's like rolling 2 Yahtzees in a row. So let me get this straight. All of American history up until 2020, no one had to stop counting the votes or take 2 weeks to count votes. And it only happened in 5 swing states, all of which went from red to blue. Wow, what a coincidence. And then in 2024, magically no one had to stop counting votes in the middle of the night again, but we still have 1 state 2 weeks later counting the votes, and it happens to be a swing state. Not buying it. Not buying it. And no one should. You shouldn't just, and people are like, well, all the experts say, or it was taken in court, or it was proven by lawyers, or everyone who's looked at this ever knows. No, don't listen to that crap. Are these the same people that told you masks work? Are these the same people who said, well, I guess we got to shut down schools for a year? Is that what it is? Are these the same people that interviewed Jussie Smollett a month after his fake crime with a straight face were crying with him on TV? Is it those people? Is it those people that were telling you the election was neck and neck, Kamala Harris might win? Is it the same people that told you the Hunter laptop was Russian disinformation? Is it those people? Is it those people that told you Trump colluded with Russia for 3 years, and then for the next 4 years after that said anyone who denies an election's literally Hitler? Now they're back to denying elections. Now they're here stuffing ballots in front of your face. Will they get away with it? I have no idea. History says maybe. They've gotten away with it before. They got away with it in 2020. They got away with it for JFK. That's one of the good one. The good thing about the JFK situation is no one's alive that voted for JFK, so they don't feel like this inherent personal defense of, oh no, that election was fine. I didn't get duped. But about half of America, or really a third of America, voted for Kamala Harris. They were voting for the side that's not doing good things right now. Is there any excuse to still be counting ballots 2 weeks later? Because what is the question here is we have a margin right now. The Republican won, but it's within 0.5% of the vote total. So that triggers a new recount. And look, automatic recounts, I'm fine with that when it's that close. And Pennsylvania has a law that triggers the recount. Fine, do the recount. The part where it gets really suspicious here on the James Show, and I'm not the only one that's noticed this, is there's some 80,000 uncounted provisional ballots. Now, the margin of victory for the Republican, David McCormick, 26,000. So they would have to win the 80,000 votes by an incredible margin to make that up. But what's in this stack of ballots? A bunch of ballots that don't qualify. They don't have a signature on them. And there's 2 places to sign it, so they don't have the correct both signatures on them. Maybe they don't have the postmark on it. Maybe they don't have the markings look suspicious. So here we have a bunch of very questionable ballots. The Supreme Court had told them not to count it. They're still being counted. How do you stop that? I don't know. Do you throw out the election results? Bucks County is say, no, we're just going to count them anyway. And we're going to give you the number even when we count the votes. They're just going to keep counting ballots until they win. You've seen this before. That's how Al Franken got in office. You remember the guy from Saturday Night Live? They got Me Too'd out for the most trifling of causes. All suspicious stuff. I don't buy any of it. Neither should you. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, James Varney from Real Clear Politics. We'll see how the rest of the map shakes out for the people who are having an honest election. Coming up in about 8 minutes on The James Show. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227 if you want to be a part of The James Show. Also, Rod Stewart coming to Lucas Oil Live at WinStar World Casino March 8th. Rod Stewart. No, this isn't today's episode of Dead or Alive. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. No, he's actually doing a concert at WinStar March 8th. If you want a chance to win tickets, text Rod. That's his name. Rod. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, sports fans. I had a little fun with Prize Picks last night. Joe Burrow and the Bengals were going against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. So we have two awesome quarterbacks. And I was looking at the statistics on them. It was really low. So I picked more on both of them, and they both delivered. However, Jamar Chase fell 2 yards short of the prediction for him, and I had picked more. But they have flex play, so I didn't lose anything. I didn't gain anything, but I broke even. So even if one of the guys in your lineup ends up laying an egg, that doesn't mean your day is done and you're toast. Prize Picks gives you flex play. I don't know why they're this nice and generous. In fact, I need to slow down or I'm going to put them out of business, and we're not going to be able to play with them anymore because I've been doing pretty good lately. I don't know if I told you about that. Download the Prize Picks app. You can have a little fun with it too. With promo code WBAP, that first $5 play gets you $50 in promo cash. So download Prize Picks. Use promo code WBAP. Get $50 in promo cash with your first $5 game. I'm James Parker. Download Prize Picks and run your game. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. My next guest is coming from the main outfit that everyone in the media leans on when it comes to watching some of these political polls and results. Real Clear Politics' own James Varney back on the James Show. And here we are 2 weeks after the election. Welcome back, first of all. And we still have a handful of election results that aren't determined. Are you surprised by that?
Not really, James. I mean, they've been trying to, when we talked about this before the election, they've been trying to lay the groundwork for saying that Election Day isn't necessarily going to settle things anymore. But it looks as if, I mean, California, I think, said they have like 1 million votes or something that they still need to count. But I don't believe there's any races that are going to go one way or the other, depending on that. I mean, the only place that I see where it's an issue right now is Pennsylvania.
Yes. Well, that's a huge one because that's a Senate seat. And the rest of these races are most of them are just dinky little congressional seats in California. Not that congressional seats don't matter, but it pales in comparison to the importance of the one that's happening in Pennsylvania. And I see reports of Bucks County counting ballots they're not supposed to count. We don't have any process to undo that, do we?
Well, I don't know. I know Bucks County well. I grew up right across the Delaware River from it. And it's a very gentry liberal kind of place now. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners and you.
Wait, you mean gentry like the root word for gentrification?
Correct.
But you meant it in its nice, positive sense, actually.
Well, it's a very nice place, Bucks County, believe me. And in many ways, better tax setup than New Jersey.
No, but hang on. I'm sorry. You're not going to be here for later in the show. Just for those of you who are going to be here in a couple hours, put a push pin in this little segment for James Varney use of the word gentry, because I was going to bring that up. There's a report came out that are like most of the Dallas neighborhoods are going through some form of gentrification, and they say it like it's a bad thing. So I was going to go break down how the word gentrification is actually a positive. You're turning something from poor into a place that is occupied by the gentry, the landed gentry, and then here you are using it in its proper term.
Well, that's good to know. But I mean, I think the video that you're referring to from Bucks County is the one where I think the county commissioners saying, I don't care what the law says. We've shown that the law doesn't matter in this country. I guess they mean because Trump got elected or something. I'm not exactly sure what she's referring to. But we're going to go ahead and count these votes anyway. Now, that's apparently direct violation of a Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling that they can't be counted. I'm not exactly sure if it's the signatures don't match or if it's a postmark or whatever. But Mark Elias, the famous Democratic election lawyer, is in Pennsylvania stirring the pot as much as he can. And I think that that's a pretty dubious thing that we see going on there. Although my understanding is that McCormick, the Republican who won the race, did so by, I think, more than 25,000 votes. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be pretty hard, I think, to overcome that.
Yeah, and look, there's a couple of, or more than a couple, like there's a congressional district in Iowa, there's one in Maine, there's one in Ohio, and they're doing recounts, and so they're not decided yet, but they're not doing what Pennsylvania and California are doing and finding new votes. Like California has the law where all your mail-in votes have to be postmarked by Election Day, so they're just waiting for more to come in the mail. And boy, that seems like where the obvious opening for fraud happens to be. So like, I'm not as worried about Ohio, Maine, and Iowa situation as I am about Pennsylvania and California.
Right. Well, I mean, they are important in the sense that I think the Republican majority in the House is pretty thin. So those House races matter, of course. But you're right. close elections in almost any state will automatically trigger a recount. And I don't think anybody has a problem with that. They probably should do it when it's really razor-thin margin. When it's 25,000 votes, I'm not exactly sure what we're trying to accomplish here.
Well, there's 80,000 air quote provisional ballots. And, just because all of them don't have proper signatures or postmarks on them doesn't mean they shouldn't be counted.
Well, I would disagree with that. I would think that they probably should check those boxes before they were counted.
I agree with your disagreement. All right, what you got going on at Real Clear Investigations, Varney?
Well, I just had a story about FEMA and how it responded to Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina.
It was probably real quick, efficient, no waste, no political involvement or bias.
You're a Katrina guy. You know that like I do. We both went through that. It was quite striking how the coverage and the tone of what was written about FEMA, how different it was from Katrina, which was just savage 24/7. It's my understanding. I had no power, so I couldn't see it, to what it was now. And my reporting did not show that it was an unremitting failure by FEMA. So I want to be fair on that. But there were some questions. So that was my most recent piece, and I got another one coming up on the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Plan, which is another Biden administration.
Oh, my goodness. Can we just drop electric cars already? This is James Varney. You can find that his latest rundown, How Helene Gave Way to Hurricane Snafu in the Carolinas. It's on realclearinvestigations.com. Thank you, James.
Thanks for having me, James.
Other James. All right, your thoughts, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227 if you want to jump in on the James Show. Coming up next, the Dallas cop, the guy that wished the Trump shooter would aim better on Facebook. Well, we got the report. The investigation's back. He's going to be suspended for 30 days without pay, and then he gets his job back. Are you okay with this guy keeping his job? He wished the president was dead, but he gets to be a cop now. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I want you to go back in your mind just a couple of months. I know this should still be a big story that's regularly talked about in the headlines. Probably the biggest story of the year. Donald Trump got shot in the head. Remember that? Oh, yeah, that was just in July. What the heck? A police officer, within minutes of the president getting shot in the head, put a post on social media that said, aim better. That's it. We know what he's talking about. He wasn't talking about the biathlon in the Winter Olympics. He wasn't watching that on his DVR. He was talking about your president getting shot in the head, someone trying to murder the political opposition. That was his response. Wow. Well, we've learned a little bit more. The headlines today are not telling half the story. Wait till I tell you the rest. I know you can just hear how disappointed I am. Here's the headline. Dallas officer suspended without pay following social media post after Trump assassination attempt, sources say. So that's a very long headline. Subheadline says Dallas Police Sergeant Arturo Martinez was initially placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. So little follow-up on this story. So disappointing. But it says he was suspended, which means it's already over. They already did the investigation. They suspended him for 30 days without pay, and now he's back, and you're paying his salary again. Isn't that sweet? The guy who was cheering the attempted assassination of your president, he gets to pull you over and write you tickets. Isn't that cool? Isn't that a neat trick? He gets to drive around in traffic, and who knows if it weighs into his conscious or subconscious bias when he sees a Trump bumper sticker. No, that's fine. We'll just let him out there. The guy who was cheering Trump getting shot in the head. We'll just let him loose. Doesn't matter. Hey, he's responding to a call. He's head of robbery. What's it called? Some robbery outfit. I don't know what police lingo is. Robbery division, robbery task force, whatever it is. Robbery unit. That's what it's called. Unit. So maybe if he responds to a house that has a Trump flag in it, we just got to cross our fingers that he won't be like, oh, good. Let's go solve the crime against the fascist. Let's go solve the crime against literally Hitler. That's not going to play into it. No, he gets to keep his job. Doesn't say he gets demoted. Doesn't say he gets his pay docked. Doesn't say he gets a demerit. Doesn't say he loses a paid day off or has to take a sick day or nothing. Doesn't even say he gets his parking space revoked. Just nothing. Just a month off. Now he's back at it. A little bit more about this fella. Sergeant Arturo Martinez was also the organizer of Blue for Black Lives Matter. Oh, let's go back in the Let's go back in the time machine. Remember all that fun we were having in 2020? George Floyd got killed, and so there was people running around in masks anyway, acting all weird because of the pandemic, but now we got riots. Well, Sergeant Martinez, he actually talked to the media. He was one of the organizers of that one. At the time, he was Dallas Police Senior Corporal Arturo Martinez. Here's some quotes from him. "We are here today because we are united against racism. That's why we're here today. What we saw in these protests, these marches that took place in Dallas was our younger generation organizing because they saw a problem and they wanted fixed." There you go. This is a guy that not only is he politically active, and obviously politically active, so much so that he's one of the organizers of a protest march against the police. This is the guy that gets to keep his job. Like, how bad does the bias have to be before it becomes a problem? Hey, what happened at the other big Black Lives Matter march that you had in Dallas? Oh, that's right. 5 officers got shot. Did that get mentioned? Oh, no, that's not anywhere in the reporting. Huh, that's so weird. So this is a guy who goes and sees a whole bunch of people protesting the cops. And even as a cop, he takes their side. And he continues the slander against this country as if cops are really just hunting down black people for sport with no consequences. The point still stands that cops kill more white people every year than black people. Where's the march for any of those, Arturo? You didn't organize a march for any, not one of those? Or were they all good shots? There wasn't any bad police actors in any of those killings? You can't stand up for one? Name one. You person I'm talking to, name one. Name one of these, because you can name 10 going the other way. You can name 10 where it was a non-white person that was killed by cops. And we've got to point that out because we got to make sure everyone hates cops and hates white people at the same time. It's a very divisive, very ugly, but also very untrue narrative this guy's pushing. Gets to keep his job. Gets to put you in handcuffs if he doesn't like what you're saying or what you're doing. Gets to pull you over if he doesn't like the cut of your jib. How political and biased do you have to be before it's a problem with the cops? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. And this is how you know it's a lie. You're not worried about cop violence, cops getting out of control and killing people, because you only complain when they kill black people. If that's it, then you're just trying to build up racial animus against white people or this country in general. But it's ugly and it's not even true. And it deserves to be called out, not celebrated. You don't deserve to keep your job. Look, if he was some guy and this was his first foray into politics and he hadn't ever demonstrated his inability to keep politics to himself, I was pretty sympathetic to the guy when the story came out. I was thinking, well, maybe he should be moved to like an administrative job or a desk job or a job where he doesn't interact with the public generally, so we don't have to worry about his obvious bias against Trump and Trump supporters bleeding into the superpowers that we give cops. But no, he's just regular old guy, no demotion. I was thinking, well, maybe he can keep his job but get demoted, like maybe lose a couple of ranks. Instead of being a sergeant, he can go back to being a corporal. No demotion there either. Well, I thought maybe he could get fired, but still get a clean sheet so he could get picked up by another department and have to start at the bottom of their hierarchy again. And while we're not ruining his career, there is some sort of punishment and there is some sort of precedent set so other cops don't do this. No, we didn't get that. So here we have the guy who runs the Black Police Association. Do we need a Black Police Association? Is their life significantly different than a white officer or a Hispanic officer or a mixed race officer or an officer of Bengali descent? What do you call them people? Are they Bengali? People from Bangladesh? That's what I was thinking of. This is the guy that might be pulling you over tomorrow. This is the guy that might be stopping you for jaywalking. If you have a problem in Dallas and you call the cops, this might be the guy that shows up. That's great. That's fantastic. Now, what I usually look for, just to try and be honest and balanced and give myself a little bit of context, is, well, what would happen if this went the other way? Well, we don't have that. We don't have any cops cheering the attempted assassination of a Democrat candidate or a black candidate or a female candidate or anything else that could be perceived as of Team Blue. It's weird because you would have to have right-wingers actually committing acts of political violence to complete that metaphor. And damn it, we just don't. Huh. That's so weird. I wonder who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. We may never tell. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we heard a lot about the WNBA this year with the whole Caitlin Clark and all these new people, and this is going to revitalize women's sports. All right, their season's over. Did it work? Did they actually turn a profit? You'll find out next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.